Hey, welcome to Headlines. This is a weekly news segment where myself, Cole, and my brother Dave, wave Dave, there you go, we are going to read through our email newsletter, which you should subscribe to in the link below. This is a weekly capture on the news going on in the world of specialty coffee and coffee as a whole. This week, we're going to read through the entire newsletter and provide some commentary and some deeper dives and insights into what's going on in the wonderful world of coffee. So, Dave, without further ado, let's start with world record coffee pricing, dated August 13th, 2024. What's going on with the Best of Panama competition? So, around the industry, the Best of Panama issues a statement on infused coffees and then proceeds to set global pricing records. Money sign, money sign, money sign. Whoa.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby. Highlights. Best of Panama is an annual auction showcasing some of the most impressive examples of coffee quality in the world. Hundreds of coffees from Panama are evaluated and ranked by national and global judges. And yours truly, myself, Cole, I was there as one of the judges. I can talk to you about some of the insider things I saw when I was
We're going to get the insider scoop right now.
Stick around. This year, controversy struck the 28th annual coffee competition when 4 coffees were disqualified from the competition due to foreign additives or altered coffees. Interesting. The highly anticipated BOP auction concluded after a 12-hour marathon auction with 50 coffees, 20 kilograms each, selling for a collective $1.383 million. 2 of those coffees exceeded the $10,000 per kilogram threshold. No, we did not spend any of our money on any of these coffees in the auctions, though I was there participating. Turns out I was just padding prices. I did not buy anything. Kind of bummed about it. Dave is thrilled. He did not know that.
Goodness.
He's hearing that here for the first time, folks.
We can afford to do this podcast.
So let's talk about the Best of Panama. Let's talk about this statement. I think this was a big rumbling in the coffee industry. A lot of people thought we were going to kind of have a bit of a war in terms of specialty coffee after the statement was addressed about a month ago at this point. Dave, what are your thoughts? What do you call?
Yeah, I think there was a few people kind of took this. It seemed like a split online. People were either enraged about, the call out by the Panama producers and especially shots at Colombian producers. And then there was kind of a second cohort that was agreed with the group at Best of Panama about saying like infused coffees shouldn't be or aren't coffee, or there was kind of various views in there. I think I would say on our behalf, if anyone's listening, is, there should be categories for everything, and infused coffees should have a category. We should actually classify what that actually means. I think that means different things to different people, which is okay at the start, but as time progresses here, we need to be able to understand what exactly is going on with like infused or co-ferment or different additives or yeasts added in, and where does that all kind of fall? And their statement was quite strong. What did you think on the statement?
Yeah, I remember when it came out, and I thought it was a little over the line as it came out. But in hindsight, I don't think they meant it with any offense toward anybody, but I think that's how it somewhat came off. But the idea is they just want to protect what they've built through 28 years. They've been hosting this competition. This competition is a significant amount of marketing and profit economics going into the region. It's a small area. Chiriquí, Panama is a small province. It's a tight-knit community of coffee producers. they're just trying to protect what they have there and sort of the rules and regulations behind the competition. If you want to do methods of preparation that are outside of the scope of that competition, I think that's fine. Just the competition is not going to be the place for you to do that, right? It's going to be off to the side in your own sort of zone or category. And I think if you're transparent about it and people are aware of what you're doing, you'll probably get support from your neighbors if you are in Panama looking to do that sort of stuff. But to try to sneak something in that doesn't fit the rule book in any competition is gonna, stir some feathers up and it's gonna shake some stuff around. Can we maybe take a second and I'll explain a little bit of what BOP is for anybody that might not have a full scope?
I would love to, Cole. I don't have anywhere else to go, so I'm going to listen regardless.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
You got me, buddy.
Fantastic. So Best of Panama is a national annual competition. So every year, all the coffee producers in specifically the province of Chiriquí, so in the west of Panama, they are conscious of submitting coffees that would be the top quality in theory in their crop, in their harvest, to fit into 3 different categories. You've got the washed geisha category, which you're looking for very floral, white flowers, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of stone fruits, but very clean, very sweet, balanced, elegant, like the true essence of Panama geisha, as many people say.
And they're saying it has to hit this profile.
I
create a washed coffee, but it doesn't hit that profile, it's not getting accepted, correct?
Can I get back to you in a second? Give me 2 more minutes of explanation and I'll come to that.
Man, I've been here 7 minutes already.
Oh, you're slowing it down for everybody else. The natural category, you're looking for a little bit more intervention of fruity flavors. You could have a little bit more process to somewhat answer your question, and I will answer the question further. Process is not well rewarded here. You're trying for minimal intervention, maximum varietal and terroir. So we're looking for true expression of washed geisha, of natural geisha. And that's why foreign additives, altered, infused, engineered, whatever you want to call that category, that's why they're not welcome there. They're looking for naturally occurring flavor compounds that are coming from simple process and true land terroir varietal.
But I can use yeast.
You can use yeast, but I think if you manipulate the flavor profile too far, you won't make it through the national jury. So what ends up happening is you've got a national jury that is going to evaluate all of these coffees. I believe they go from about 200 coffees. They dwindle it down to, I think, 72 go on to the international jury. The national jury has a ranking scale on their Cropster input form is what everybody's using. So you have 10 categories that you're filling out. There is an additional category in the national jury for process. So if a coffee is over, I suppose, 2.5 on a 0 to 5 scale on processing, it gets eliminated, no questions. So these coffees that are eliminated, they were eliminated by selection. Like there are other coffees that were eliminated from the competition that are not infused. They're not in this same controversial category that this statement went out about. They're just over fermented, right? And maybe they're too
based
winey.
On their definition.
Correct. So they're too winey or too fruity for a washed coffee, or too maybe funky and too electric umami or something like that for a natural coffee. For varietals, doesn't matter. Processing, I don't believe is as important in varietal in terms of in that category, you're looking mostly for the best overall flavor experience. And I think if it's process driven, that's okay. But we're not looking for infused process driven. We're just looking for new experience in terms of varietals outside of the category of geisha.
And that category's changed over the years. So it used to be only Pacamara, and it's been a few different things.
I think they had a washed and a natural category at one point. They've shifted it around quite a bit. And so where it is now, 3 categories: washed geisha. If you own one farm, you could submit 1 washed geisha, 1 natural geisha, and 2 varietals. They have to be different varietals. If you own more than 1 farm and you're in designated different regions, so let's say you've got 1 farm in Jaramillo in Boquete, and you've got 1 farm in Los Pozos and Volcan, you could submit now 2 washed geishas, 1 from each farm, 2 natural geishas, 1 from each farm, and 2 varietals. Doesn't matter if they're from the same or different farms. So maximum 6 coffees per producer or per registered business, I believe, is how they maybe do that. And I don't know that for certain.
And we interviewed Hunter, so there's lots more to kind of break down. We talked with him for quite a while about Best of Panama and the controversies and what happened. So you guys can listen to that in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we'll put a link to that in the show notes here. Hunter is the president of the Specialty Coffee Association. He won the varietals category as well with his farm Black Moon. And then he had a second coffee that was also in, I believe, geisha washed, and maybe 10th or so from Black Moon as well. Beautiful coffees. So the international judges come in. They are now scoring all these coffees. It's a full week commitment. We show up Monday through Saturday. There's cupping every day. Every day you have 24 coffees, 3 tables of 8, and that will all remain in the same category. So I'll taste 24 washed geishas, 24 natural geishas, 24 varietals, and we'll kind of move that all through the week. You don't know what any of the coffees are. They've all been received by auditors that are putting different labels, different codes. Those codes are changing. Everything's changing as you go. And then once you're done a cupping session, everybody gathers into this sort of aggregate room where we sit there and reveal our notes. So somebody will be at the front with a laptop and a big Excel spreadsheet that is fed all the scores in. And then we'll go coffee by coffee, and in that spreadsheet it'll have columns with different scoring, and people will put up their hand depending on where they scored that coffee, and there's a little bit of discussion, a little bit of conversation that goes on around that. And then from there, the coffee with the highest, not the highest average score, but the highest median score goes on to win, which is really interesting. So the coffee that is the record coffee here that we're seeing and highlighting in the newsletter at $10,013 per kilogram. And in a second here, I'll break down the economics of that into a per cup basis for you. That coffee did not win the average score in Geisha Natural. However, it won the median score. So therefore being the overall winner. So to run through just super quick here, we've got this coffee. Where did my note go? So this coffee on average was a 95.27 was the score. There's another coffee on the table that was a 95.36. So 0.09 points higher. However, once you trim it down to the median, the coffee that finished first place went up by 0.1 points. So 95.1 versus the coffee that came second. Now the price differential between first place and second place is the difference of about $8,500 per kilogram, or on a 20 kilogram auction lot, about $170,000.
Crazy.
Whoa. Okay, should we talk about what that breaks down to on a per cup basis and slide further into the newsletter here?
Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay. Breaking down the business. So let's calculate the BOP economics and see what it would cost us to enjoy a cup. So 1 kilo of green coffee will yield approximately 850 grams of roasted. There's some mass loss that happens. There's some sorting that will happen. Some coffees will get picked out. So usually about 15% taken away. So $10,000 divided by 850 turns into $11.76 per gram of roasted coffee. My normal brewing recipe, I use 22 grams of coffee. We're talking $250 cost for that cup or more. Significant. So based on the golden ratio, which is the 1:16 brewing standard, here's what it would cost the buyer to brew the volumes below using a few relatable volume comparisons. 150 milliliters, which equals 1 standard wine glass that you would get in a restaurant, is about 10 grams of coffee. That would cost the purchaser of this coffee, not the final consumer, would cost them $118. A 250 milliliter cup, which is 1 metric cup, is about 15 grams of coffee. That would be $176. A 750 milliliter serving, which would be equivalent to a bottle of wine, is about 50 grams of coffee. We're now talking $588 in cost. So to put that into a hospitality service, for a bottle of wine equivalency of this particular coffee, it's probably going to be a minimum of $1,000. Am I wrong? Would you 2x that to go to final consumer, or what would you do for final markup here, Dave?
I'm just stunned on how much it is. I'm thinking the whole time, who's buying this? What roaster's buying this? And then what is their plan to sell it?
How do you sell this? Yeah, it's a great question. There is a market for it. I've personally paid more than $100 for a cup of coffee, and I've also sold a cup of coffee for more than $100. So I know that both on the inbound and outbound section, I recognize this market. Who's going to pay for it? It's going to be a small percentage of people, but it's 20 grams or 20 kilograms of coffee, right? At the end of the day, it's not an astronomical amount that the winner paid $250,000 or just over $200,000 for the 20 kilos of coffee. However, there is a world that would pay for it, The buyer is in Japan. The final buyer is a company called Sasa Coffee in Japan. I believe they've got about 20 outlets. And every year champions a lot of the top coffees around the world in terms of price points. And where do they necessarily get sold to? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's more of a marketing play.
Yeah,
that they can spread their company, maybe marketing dollars into this and have lots of news and outlets reach out to them, seeing that they paid for the world's most expensive coffee. And then probably when they release it, there'll be another round of kind of marketing that supports that.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's worth $200,000. I think for, the average consumer, it's tough to kind of not sell them, but talk to them about this, and it's not very relatable. But it's really nice to see that there's a market out there, and people are willing. There was 16,000 bids over the course of those 12 hours, and really exciting. Yeah,
19,000 bids, just about.
Yeah, so 19,000. There's a lot of people interested. It could be the same people, but a lot of people interested in these coffees. And we need, the very top to rise, but we also, this has got to translate through the whole
pyramid.
Coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with you in any way. I think when you mentioned there about the average consumer, maybe not really getting it, it would be fascinating to take one glass of this, 1 cup of this at, the $120 cost here, and then make 2 other coffees. One is, say, a $12 cost, so 10 times less, and then one is a $1.20 cost. So again, 10 times less, and see if, you give the ABC to people, if they could put them in the right sequence and really understand the differential in quality. I think you would understand which is which in that particular scenario. But once you get into this very niche, high end, it's minutia detailing that is going to change. The first and second place, like we just said, there is 0.1 difference on
it's
the
such
scoring,
a small
right?
amount. It's hard to tell that story to the consumer.
Yeah.
But I think if they could try it side by side, that's like the true value add. That, okay, here's the world's most expensive coffee, and you're trying it beside every day, the coffee you drink every day.
Yeah.
And that's when I think we can really open the eyes to consumers, instead of just they see record pricing and they kind of go, what on earth?
What on earth is going on here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most expensive we've ever paid for a coffee is $1,000 a kilo. And if anybody wants to buy some, please let me know. We still have it. Help me.
And I wonder why.
All right, Dave, reading, watching, listening, brewing. What is this? What is this segment of the newsletter? Give me the quick breakdown on what we're trying to do with this chunk.
Yeah, I think it's quick hits on what we've seen either in the industry or kind of just interesting stuff in and around the industry, and broken it out into 4 different categories here. So Cole, take us through it.
Great. Okay, reading. So what color is your coffee? Research into developing new roast color standards for the coffee industry. 70% of coffee consumers said that they were much or somewhat more likely to buy a coffee when the roast level was specified. So the way that I've interpreted this article is the mass of people, 70% according to the research, just want to know, what or how is this roasted? Is this light, medium, or dark? Is that correct? Am I summarizing that too simply, or is there more to it?
Big guy, you've nailed it. I think what's yeah, you got it. I think what's interesting about this article is you see a lot of, specialty third wave roasters not having the roast indicated. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of consumers, that's a way for them to identify what coffee to buy. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that's a bit of a miss. And I think one thing we've done is we've trained consumers to expect certain things. And I think kind of, early 2000s up to the 2014, 15, roast was a really easy way to describe coffee to consumers. And now that we've added all these fancy tasting notes and various other things, I think we're now trying to move them away from identifying a coffee they might like through the roast color to an elevated experience of like the flavor notes. Okay. And we still, we're still getting lots of people that email in Rosso and they're saying like, I see there's nuts as the flavor calls in this coffee. Is there nuts in it? And we have to,
I have an allergy.
I have an allergy. I'm worried about, having this in it. And we have to politely tell them like, no, there's, that's the natural flavors of the coffee. It has nothing to do with what's going in and around the bean. And
right. But so try this $200 cup that we just got.
$2,000 cup. So I think it's an interesting way. So check that out if you're interested in reading things.
It's also really interesting. I think many more, especially coffee roasters, are starting to use color tools, color tracking, color analytics. We use Color Track is the name of the brand, and it essentially gives us a numerical value on the exact hue of brown. So what we've learned through that is different roasters have different ideas of what light, medium, and dark mean. And our idea of a medium roast or light roast is different to your idea of a medium roast, light roast, dark roast, whatever. So just really fascinating. The study is saying everybody wants that the majority of consumers would like to know that detail. And as an industry, we're kind of phasing that detail out, but we're getting more analytical with it, but we're hardly ever seeing that shared. Just kind of fascinating overall. Let's slide on to watching. So a tour through an incredible vintage espresso machine collection at the Baque Coffee Museum.
Sure.
Yeah. Dave, what are we seeing in this video? Why did we get this in here?
Yeah, cool video, just going through some old espresso machines. The team is touring them through, and yeah, just thought it was a fun little video to see some of the classics in the museum.
It's an incredible collection. Like,
ours is close to it, but yeah, it's pretty incredible.
no, theirs is thousands of square feet, and it must be hundreds of espresso machines.
Yeah,
Like, quite impressive. So check that one out. Listening, whether you love him or hate him, Howard Schultz has undeniably shaped the coffee industry. Tune into the team at Acquired podcast as they discuss with Howard the journey of starting and growing Starbucks. It's a fascinating listen. Why is it a fascinating listen, Dave?
Well, I was going to ask you, did you listen to it?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't click that one.
Oh, that hurts.
Well, you lost me. I had to make the decision, do I love him or do I hate him? And I decided neutrality, so I didn't click it.
So no click. Don't engage.
Don't engage.
Super interesting podcast. Howard Schultz, OG of the coffee industry, especially in North America, brought the latte, cappuccino, all those things to the mainstream. He talks with the team at Acquired. They do deep dives on certain businesses. So they did one on Starbucks, and he was a part of it, which is very unusual. So he had these like interesting stories where he was on the brink of not putting a business deal together, and he, is talking with someone, and that someone's like, "Oh, I got someone you got to go see." He goes sees this person, and it's Bill Gates Sr. And Bill Gates Sr. writes him a check to put the deal together, just things like that. So super fascinating. Just love those. Kind of interesting, too, is he throws the now ex-CEO and the management team at Starbucks kind of not under the bus, but in front of the bus. And as we saw, this week, the new call up for a new CEO, the old CEO's out. And I imagine Howard Schultz is very excited. He's a big shareholder of Starbucks still. He's been back as CEO, I think, 3 times. So great podcast. It's quite long. I think it's 2.5 hours, but worth it.
I'm intrigued. I'm going to click through it. I'm going to check it out, and it'll take me 3 weeks to listen to because of the length, but I'll do my best to get through it.
And
I'll let you know.
You fight.
I'll circle back with you on whether I love him or I hate him.
Yeah.
All right. Brewing.
What are you brewing?
Brewing. I drank this literally today. Longboard Natural Old Growth Typica. I did not have it in a Jezva. I had it in a pour over. But man, it's a great coffee. We featured this coffee. We mentioned this coffee a lot because of Scott. Scott is a key member of our team at Rosso and has been supporting us with By the Drip in a lot of the marketing, in a lot of the brand assets. Scott is an integral part of the team. We'll see if he gets 29 minutes into this listen to see if he gets this shout out. That'll be a good test to see whether he loves us or hates us or is just neutral. But an amazing coffee from Panama. Complex flavors, great tactile experience, great overall balance and overall enjoyment. Let's continue on. The Grind Diaries. Dave, what are the Grind Diaries?
I'm not quite sure. Oh no, I'm just joking. It's kind of an accountability structure for Cole and I.
Okay.
And over the course of last year, we traveled 100 days straight. Cole, I, and also Boram went running almost every day. And it was kind of one of the most helpful things for mental health, obviously our physical health, and we did not enjoy it at the start. And by the end of the trip, we all loved it more.
Yeah,
and
more.
Yeah. Anyways, this is our way. We want to do a minimum of 25 kilometers while we're back home each week. And our goal is to hit 1,000 this year.
Okay.
I think I checked just before this. I think I'm at 680. So I'm on track, but we need to hold each other accountable. And one of the things we learned through the trip is people kind of took up running or physical activity based on us running and seeing, it's something healthy and good for each other. And so if you want to join in, please either join us on Strava or just send us a message or post it on Instagram or wherever you do and tag us, because we love people connecting over not just coffee, but other, fun, healthy activities.
Yeah, for sure. I think to build on that too, neither of us were runners. Dave, myself, Boram was also not a runner when we started doing this. And part of the reason that we did is it's a very easy to travel with activity, right? You bring a pair of sneakers and ideally you got some shorts and t-shirt, whatever, pretty simple. But it also becomes a great way to see a city when you're traveling. And the reason I got into it, and I was complaining and I wasn't going to do it, and I've got flat feet and I can't run and my knees. And okay, let's not get too whiny here, but the reason that I got into it is Dave and Boram would come back after an hour, or it was probably like 26 minutes is what they were actually running, but felt like
an hour.
And they'd be sweaty. They'd be usually laughing and in a good mood, and they'd be talking about, let's go to this place for dinner. We just saw this cool thing over here. Like, let's go to this. And it becomes an interesting way to see and sort of explore different cities as you're traveling. So that was part of the way I got roped in. And consistency is what transforms the average into the excellent, Dave. So 25 kilometers a week. Love the goal. Let's keep it up and see if we can get the other on board. Okay, what is going on here? Big Brewing Energy?
Yeah, you got to talk this one through. This is your probably favorite segment.
I think this is quite a lot of fun. I've at least been having a good time with it, and I encourage other people to try it too. Yeah, just have fun with it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, just have fun with it.
So Big Brewing Energy, it's a weekly shout out of epic brew bars, be it real life, home or business, or wherever your imagination may take you. Every week we're going to feature a different image here that's either going to be created by AI, which is where this image here has come from. I've prompted a program called DALL-E, and otherwise it's going to be real brew bars. Mine at the moment isn't the most attractive thing, so it might not be my brew bar, but we'll look for other people to send some images in and see what comes in future weeks. This particular one, I used a prompt: create for me a retro coffee brew bar that's set in a realistic style with vivid lighting and a lot of gizmos and gadgets and a cowboy barista. So it kind of feels futuristic. It feels a little bit retro. It's got some kind of neon signage going on, and it's kind of all over the map. I think it's a fun image. I think it's a bit of a vibe. I would drink a coffee in that coffee shop. And I'd make sure I paid right away so the cowboy doesn't chase me down or something silly. And we'd love to see what you guys come up with, if anything at all. If you're interested, just respond to the email, sign up for the email, respond to the email, and play around with different AI platforms, or send us a photo of your brew bar. And we'd love to shout you out. We'd love to feature you in the newsletter, and we'd love to feature, the energy you're bringing to the Big Brewing Energy. That's it. That's the newsletter this week. So thanks so much for tuning in, listening to headlines, and for subscribing to the weekly email newsletter. Every week we'll do an audio breakdown like this, where we deep dive a little bit further into the segment and put a little bit more personal anecdotes and points into each of the elements that capture in the news. Otherwise, if you prefer to just read through it, it'll come to your email, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time every Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell.